On the first day of Christmas, the Bulldogs gave to me one salary cap breach. Shit. Now I know you're going to be thinking, Luke, you're a Bulldog supporter. How can you comment on this without being biased? Well, like the fact is, I'm just not going to be able to. There's going to be some bias involved here, but I'm going to try and explain this with some facts on why this isn't really that big of a deal. Now, first off, just like all of you, when I saw the headline Channel 7 saying Bulldogs breached the salary cap, like that sounds like a pretty big deal. Then you find out exactly how much it is, 100,000. Still sounds like a bit of a big deal. But then you start realizing what exactly is 100,000 and how much is that over the cap. So you think of, I think, forget the actual exact sum, but I think minimum wage for an NRL first grader is like 70,000, I think. Could be wrong, could be a bit more, a bit less, but I think it's something about 70,000, 80,000, something like that. So essentially Bulldogs are one player over the cap, and it's like a minimum wage sort of player as well. So to put it in perspective, they're not really that much over the cap, and that's why you're not really seeing too much of it. It's not really that big of a deal at the moment. Obviously when it came out, it was a big sort of, the headline was there, so people are going to get the clicks and that sort of stuff. So they've gone for the most clickbait sort of heading, just like I am for this video. But yeah, at the end of the day, not really that big of a deal. Now, I'm not sure if it's come out exactly what's going on, but my theory is kind of that the Bulldogs were trying to offload a player throughout the year, because Lloyd Perrott, for so long, every week it was like, Lloyd Perrott's leaving for Titans, Lloyd Perrott's leaving Warriors, etc., etc. And it just never seemed to play out. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that's the case. They were trying to offload him and he never left, and it kind of left him in their shit. But essentially, the Bulldogs have turned themselves in, which I suppose is a little bit better than getting caught out. But at the end of the day, you still got found out. But I know there's going to be lots of people, I see it on Facebook, I see it on Twitter, Bulldogs cheats, Bulldogs cheats. Yes, that is true. They did cheat last year by 100,000, but they're not the only ones who have done it, and they're probably going to get the same result as other teams who have done it. Absolutely nothing happening apart from a bit of a fine. Now, for the Bulldogs, I think this has kind of come at a bad time, just purely for the fact that the Eels this past year had actually done some serious salary cap breaching, in terms of, you know, they weren't really playing for much this year. They were playing for points, but effectively they weren't really. They had to get rid of all their best players, and yeah, a bit of a shit season for the Eels, and they're paying the price for it next year and the year after, I think, as well, to some degree. I'm not sure the exact ins and outs of it, but I'm pretty sure there's some things in the salary cap next year, deductions and that sort of stuff. But anyways, my point is, yeah, it's come at a bad time, because everyone's got to compare this Bulldogs one to the Eels, which isn't really fair. Now, like in the past, Bulldogs obviously have breached the salary cap in 2002, big time, rightfully. You know, they got punished very, very, you know, perfectly, I guess. Like, they probably were going to win a premiership. That was, you know, that didn't happen. Storm, another one in 2010. So when people generally hear a salary cap breach, they always think of that sort of stuff. So yeah, the Eels and then the Bulldogs straight after. You think at the Eels punishment and you go, oh, Bulldogs, what if they're just going to cover a fine? But there's perfectly good reason for that, and like I said, it's just due to the severity of it. Now, to the casual sort of NRL viewer, I'm not sure exactly where you all stand, the people who are watching this video, but you probably don't realise that almost every year there's about 3 or 4 teams who kind of usually over the cap by little bits and just get like $25,000 fine, that sort of stuff. And yeah, I'm assuming that's what's going to happen to the Bulldogs. I think I saw a figure of like 100,000 or 160,000, so they are going to get fined a bit of money, but that's all it will be. Now, if you go into the National Rugby League salary cap page in Wikipedia, I know it's not the most reliable Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is awesome. I just use it all the time. You can go through and you can find, it's got listed all the salary cap breaches that have happened since the NRL started. And you'll find that, like, not every club, but a lot of clubs have been fined at some point for salary cap breaches. Some small, some high, like I've already said. I mean, even going back to 2014, the Eels one. But I think the Titans were the last team fined before them. And then, yeah, just even going back to, hang on, let me find it. In 2011, the West Tigers were fined $187,000 and had no points deducted after it was found they exceeded the salary cap by $374,000 during the 2010 season. Puts in perspective the Bulldogs being $100,000 over, and they, like, the Tigers, didn't get any points deducted. So for the people having a bit of a whinge about Bulldogs not having any points deducted, there you go. It's consistent. Anyways, that's kind of all I've got to say about this topic. I mean, my point of the whole video is just to say that this wasn't really that big of a deal. I mean, obviously it's a big deal in terms of there still was a breach. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a breach, and you shouldn't be having that. I think that kind of reflects on the Bulldogs management at the moment, which I'm not happy about it, to say the least. With, you know, Des Haslam, Raylene Carson, that sort of stuff, hasn't been a good few years. But I mean, what can you do? I don't have any control over that. But what I was more trying to point out is just all the people who are going to be having a bit of a whinge, say Bulldogs get, you know, special treatment, favourable treatment from Greenberg and stuff. My point was to prove that it's not the case. The fine that the Bulldogs going to get fits in with what they've actually done, and it's consistent with. In fact, it's probably a lot more harsher than some of the other ones in the past. But yeah, it does fit in with other punishments from other salary cap teams. It's just more of that this Eels one happening in the past year, and then the Bulldogs one happening so soon, and then both having the same sort of headlines, even though they're very different. I can understand why people would get a little bit confused, but yeah, that's where I'm going to end the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. You can follow me on Twitter at MrLuke YT. The same goes for my Instagram as well if you want to follow it. Facebook page is in the description below, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.